Hi, folks. Welcome to this Mental Health Live. It's the second one that I'm doing. Lovely to see you. If you're joining me live, folks, please say hi in the chat. Please feel free to comment. This is our way of connecting at the moment, but not for much longer, folks. Fantastic that we've got some people in already, which is wonderful. I hope that you can hear me, folks. If you haven't, let me know. And yeah, so folks, it's Mental Health Awareness Week, which is another reason why I wanted to do this mental health live stream. And this one in particular is about transitions, folks, because we're going through so many changes at the moment. We're going through the change, but not just the change, as it is for some people. Hi, Joe. Just said hi in the chat. Nice to see you. Yeah, folks, and I suppose I should introduce myself in case any of you lovely people have popped on, or if you're looking back at this recording. If you don't know me already, I'm Sheila. I am a qualified registered counsellor. I spend most of my time counselling clients, delivering talks and training. I'm also a comedian. I started out with the comedy first, then my own mental health got in the way, sorted that out, and then my shows naturally evolved from comedy into mental health shows. And most importantly, folks, is I'm a survivor of mental ill health. So it's not just a case I've studied all about mental health. I've been through it myself personally, and I honestly believe that unless you've been through it, folks, you really can't know what it's like to go through depression and anxiety where you can't leave your house. And I do know what that's like, folks. Sarah, lovely to see you. Absolutely looking forward to the tips. Alcohol, Sarah, alcohol. No, I'm joking and I'm not joking because this is about whatever floats your boat, folks. And the thing is that COVID-19 has affected us all, folks. We've had the announcement from Boris earlier on that we can start hugging next week, but cautious hugging. And I want to tell you the very funny, rude picture that I received on my WhatsApp. I thought to myself, I'm definitely not sharing that because that is actually far too rude. But text me or message me afterwards and I'll share it with you folks. But yeah, so it's funny because it's all that uncertainty, folks, and it just seems to change as we go along. Hi, Sharon, I'm delighted you can join me tonight. Fantastic stuff. And, folks, it's just lovely to connect. Do you know what I mean? I love to Jules put in that she can't wait for some big hugs from friends. Absolutely, folks. I mean, I don't know about you folks, but from a personal level, there's part of me that sometimes thinks, really, that this has been over a year, and that the things that we have been able to do, like the hugs and go to the theatre and go to the cinema, it is going to be very strange, folks, because some of us have almost been institutionalized. Because I know for me, I've worked from my office cabin for the last year. I've been working remotely since the lockdown and seeing some clients in between, but majority of the time working remotely, folks. And it is weird coming out, folks. And I think it's really important that we take our time, folks, and we decide what feels right for you. Now, just have a bit of water, water, I mean. Okay, folks. So what I mean by that is, look, have a think about what approach tends to work for you. So you can have the approach, the Nike approach, as I like to call it, and just think to yourself, I'm just going to do it. I'm going to throw myself out there. I'm going to book lots of meals indoors after next week, and I'm going to meet up with as many friends as I can, within all restrictions, of course, and in halls and stuff like that. So that might feel right for you, and so be it, folks. But actually, for some people, they might have more of a helicopter approach. And a helicopter approach is when you kind of just want to hover around, you want to see the situation from all different angles, you want to take your time to decide whether this feels right for you or not, to kind of be there or maybe not, and to stay away. And this is where autonomy really comes in, folks, because it's about doing what feels right for you. And I really advise you, not to be making comparisons, folks. Do you know what I mean? Not be thinking, well, Mary now, she's out there now 5 nights a week and I need to get myself out there. No, you don't. If Mary wants to do that, fair play to her. But if that doesn't feel right for you, that's okay too, folks. Sharon Rose, definitely a personal, unique journey. This is lovely. Just reading your comments here, folks. I like that, Sharon. That's me, the helicopter. Oh, lovely, Pat. Welcome. Fantastic that you're on here. There's an echo coming in. Can anybody else hear the echo, folks? Just let me know if anybody else can hear an echo. I am in my office cabin and it's actually raining. It's actually lashing rain outside. So that could be part of it. But just let me know if anybody else has an echo coming through, folks. And especially Joe, if you can let me know what the crack is there, if there's anything that I need to do. I love that Joe was saying so true. Don't feel pressured if you don't feel ready to go out. It's okay to say no, and it really is, folks. It's interesting actually. Thanks, Sharon, for letting me know. All okay here. Yeah, thanks for letting me know. So, Pat, not too sure because that's the thing. A slight echo sounds okay for me though from Joe. Yeah, it's interesting, Pat, because that's the thing about doing these things virtually is that because we're coming from different places, it's hard to know, where the kind of any issues that come in. I know I've got a shadow behind me. This could be like a backing dancer. I like this. Can you tell I like to use my imagination, folks? Anyway, so I was talking about, think about the approach that you find helpful for this situation, because you might use a different approach for another situation, folks, and that might work. The Nike approach might work in another situation, if you know what I mean, folks. Okay, so thank you for all your messages and stuff like that. And I'm going to generalize, folks, because there was quite a lot. And while I was coming across, thanks, Sarah, for letting me know it's all okay there. Pat, turn up your hearing aid. I'm only joking, Pat. Luckily, she's not here to beat me up. Woohoo! Okay, she mightn't give me a hug next week after saying that. Anyway, and okay, folks. So what I found was that a lot of people are stressed about going back to work in person. And of course, that is going to make so much sense, folks, when you've been working from home for such a long time and then going back out and meeting people. And what I'm going to say next is relative to going back to work, but it's also relative to meeting up with friends, folks. If you're feeling a bit anxious about that. And there are things you can do, and you can actually pre-plan beforehand. So what you can do, folks, is even like going back to work, thinking about what outfit am I going to wear. So if you're planning to go back meeting up with friends and you haven't met for a while, just think about again, what outfit am I going to wear? What am I going to feel comfortable in? And think about the surroundings. What am I going to be comfortable in the surroundings? How much space do I want? So it is thinking about, it's almost imagine yourself there before you're there. And sometimes that can really help to relax the mind. And part of this is visualization, folks. And a lot of people find this very useful. It's worth trying it. You mightn't find this useful, but it's worth giving it a go, folks. And that's what this talk is all about. It's about giving different ideas, different advice. And I love that Pat saying, I'm hearing everything twice, but that's okay. I'll just sit here and watch you. Thanks, Pat. Maybe you need to go to Specsavers as well as turn up your hearing aid. It's great because I can heckle Pat away and she's not here to give me stick. Well, I tell you, I'm going to regret this when it comes back to the live shows, folks. Okay, so what you can do is that you can pre-plan what you're going to wear. You're going to think about if you're going out for lunch, think about where you're going to go. You can ring up the venue beforehand. I did this actually with a venue when I was meeting up with Pat and just finding out was there spacing available, was it all outdoors, was there some covering so that if it was raining that we've got some sort of protection from there. And I made sure that we went to a cafe where it was very spacious. So the same way if you're nervous about going back to work, folks, you can speak to your managers beforehand. Maybe you are the manager. Put things in place that would make you feel secure. because all we can do is our best, folks, and that is good enough. And it is those affirmations that we're doing our best. This is new to manage our expectations. Oh, it's okay now that I've muted the video. Happy days, great stuff, Pat. That we've never been in this situation before. So remember, there is no right or wrong. It's simple as trial and error, folks. And it is about being kind to yourself. It is about being your own best friend. And it is about, that sometimes the hardest part is just getting out there and doing it. I don't know whether you find this, folks, that when you're out there and you're actually in it, it's not so bad. It's almost the build up, the procrastination, the fear of it almost makes it worse. And sometimes you'll find that when you're there, it's not so bad actually. It's almost like you've got to prove to yourself that I'll be okay. And the thing is, folks, is you can plan for worst case scenario. You can have to back up that look, I'm going to give this a go, but if I'm not feeling comfortable, if I'm not feeling right, I'm going to leave, I'm going to go home. You can have that backup plan if that's what you need, folks, because it is about just being kind to yourself and know that we've never been in this situation before. Vodka, so I'm in water. It's very good to keep yourself lubricated. Okay, folks, so I would highly recommend that to visualize yourself at the event beforehand. And you can use that in all sorts of walks of life, folks. So that is one way of kind of preparing yourself for an event beforehand. And actually, I do that before my theatre shows, before my talks, folks. I visualize the whole show before I actually do the show. And there's something about that when I've done it already in my imagination, it's already done. It totally lessens the fear of doing it because I've already done it in my head. And don't ask me why it worked, but it works for me, and I know this worked for other people too. I don't do it for this because a lot of me talking now for these mental health lives is just being honest and just saying it as it is, folks. And sometimes I like not to rehearse that too much. Now, I'd like to invite folks that if you do have any questions, to feel free to put them in the chat. Or if you have any comments, folks, feel free to put them in the chat as well. Or any tips as well that what you've done to maybe prepare yourself to come out of lockdown, to prepare yourself to meet other people, that maybe some stuff that you've done that's been helpful for you, because I love the idea of sharing different ideas. I don't believe that any of us is the expert, folks. I think we're all learning from each other. And actually, on that note, I'm going to share something with you, folks. It was very interesting. When I was writing out what I call a bit of a skeleton script for my talk now, it's very interesting because on my sheet I wrote down initially, think about what type of a person you are. And my intentions was actually think about what approach works for you, whether it's the helicopter or whether it's the Nike Just Do It. Well, I had to correct myself, and I mean that in the nicest way, because I realized that by saying think about what type of person you are, I'm actually putting a label on you. And actually, that's not something I believe in because I think it's all about behavior. And I think it's very easy to say, well, I don't go out, I'm just that sort of person. And I think it's very important to be mindful of the language that you use, folks, that you don't define yourself by your behaviors. For example, I'm not good at talking with people. I'm just not good at that. Because honestly, folks, there's something about the brain that if you tell it, that's exactly what you're going to get. And it's part of having a closed mindset. And if you want things to be different in your world, I'd really encourage you to think about the way that you speak to yourself, folks. And it was just noticing that, that what type of a person will know that's labeling. We're all behaviors. When we're born neutral. Like when you think about people, who feel insecure, they're worried about how you look. Think about it. When you were born as a baby, the first thing you weren't thinking of was, God, does my ass look big in this nappy? I hope nobody else thinks that. Are they talking about me? No, they don't. That. So a lot of this is all learned behavior, folks. And when you realize that this is learned behavior and you're not happy with your behavior, once you put your hands up and think, well, it's me doing it to me, you can change it, folks. So this is about empowering ourselves. Okay, I'm just going to have a look at some of the comments. Okay, Sarah, so true. Sometimes the thoughts about what is going to happen is nothing like the actual situation. Absolutely, Sarah. Totally agree. Sharon, I'm also happy at the pace I've reached and understand that I will need to step out a bit more as time goes on. But I can't go any faster. That's it, Sharon. It is about listening to yourself, and you mentioned that in your message as well, Sharon, and I really appreciate that, about that you were so much happy with the pace that you're having. And I think that COVID-19, as difficult and as horrible as it's been, I also think there's been positives to take from this, and that is to pause in your own lives and just reflect and think about your life before COVID and think about, do you really want it to be exactly the same? And that's a good question, folks. Do you want your life to be exactly the same as how it was before COVID? Because I know for me, that's my partner putting out the rubbish, by the way. I know that, that before COVID, the pace, the amount of stuff I was doing, that I needed to slow down my pace. And sometimes I can see myself, even now today is a perfect example of that, folks. I've been writing newspaper articles, been working on my website, and I realized I hadn't had a break, and I just thought, wow, Sheila, it'd be so easy to get back into that hamster wheel again. And I think we do really need to be mindful of this. Poor Hollycat is coughing up a furball over here. Don't you love live chats? Hollycat, please don't conk out. I mean, okay. I love it. Cheers, Joe. Thanks. You're very welcome for the advice. Sharon says, I'll tell you what has happened to me. I've been in two flooring shops recently. It's very good to lay down your foundation, Sharon. Well done. And I just love the humor. Sharon has got fantastic comments that she puts on her Facebook. Absolutely hilarious. Okay, folks. So I know that a lot of people are struggling with anxiety at the moment. And I would say one of my top tips for anxiety is definitely, no, it's not dribbling. It is definitely breathing, folks. It's slowing down your breathing. And anytime that I'm feeling anxious, I laugh now if Hollycat comes over to say hello. She probably will, but that's okay. Yeah, folks, is to slow down your breathing. It's scientifically proven that when you slow down your breathing, you regulate your heartbeat, you just kind of calm everything down. And we all need a bit of that, folks. And I find the rectangular breathing is really good, folks. So it literally is that you can imagine, I'll use my phone. So if you can imagine that you've got a rectangle and what you're doing is, and you can visualize this in your mind if you wanted, that you're breathing in for 4. So there's a line going up. So you're breathing in for 4. Pause for 2, then you breathe out for 5. Pause for 2, breathe in for 4. Through your nose or through your mouth, whichever you want. Pause for 2 and breathe out for 5. And just repeat the process again. And I really find that, folks, that doing the rectangular breathing, that you're just slowing everything down. Let's see, well, Sarah, I agree. It's been a great time to reflect and to try and think of taking a step back from things, as the pace was so fast before. It absolutely was, Sarah, and it's funny that, like, I've written an article that's going to come out in Mama Life magazine. And in the article, I said a quote, and this was something that I've been saying for the last year, and I really believe this. You're working as a counsellor, that even before COVID-19, all this happened, that people were alive. Of course, they were alive, but they weren't really living. And folks, I don't know, I've just really come across that so much, that there is so much of our happiness that we really need to take control over, folks. There's so much blame that goes on, and while we're blaming other people, that means we feel helpless, because then we feel that as long as we're blaming somebody else, then we're waiting for somebody else to make it better for ourselves. And actually, when we take control of our own happiness and our own lives, it is fantastic. It's life changing, folks. And, that is part of the work that I do with clients ongoing. Joe saying, so true, Sarah, I'm already feeling the pressure from work picking up too quickly and I'm not ready for it. I can so, yeah, absolutely, Joe, but it's work, I've got to bite the bullet. It's so true, Joe, about getting that balance, because the last thing we want to do, folks, is run ourselves into the ground and go back to that pace. And it is important to almost sit back, as I've literally just done, and think to yourself, the pace I'm at now, is this consistent to do over the next year, over the next 5 years? If I keep at the pace I'm at now, is this healthy? Is it serving me well, folks? Because, like we'll say today, again, a perfect example, just everything seemed to catch up on myself today. Now I know myself that if I continue to have days like that, folks, I could make myself very ill. So it is so important. So the breathing, being mindful of your pace, folks. Again, if you want to, you can grow a cannabis plant like I've done here to my right. Obviously, I am joking. But if anybody would like any, just let me know. I am joking. Okay, folks. Humor. We know humor is so important. Where does the time go to, folks? I thought it'd be about 15 minutes. Yeah, okay. Oh, yes, I love this. Okay, this may seem very simple, folks. But, okay, I know that, including myself, a lot of people, were worried about, do we hug, do we not hug? How does the other person feel about that? Do we meet up? Do we not? And folks, I see this time and time again, and I'll hold my hand up to this as well, where we make assumptions. We assume what the other person is thinking, folks. And I love the way that the word assume, when you break it down, is as you me. That spells the word assume, because it does make an ass out of you and me when we make assumptions. And folks, there's one word that I really want you to take from this talk tonight, as we're making transitions, as we're going through changes, as we're trying to work out how we're feeling about things. When you're in situations with other people and you're not sure whether to hug, and you're not sure whether to meet up or what to do, one word, folks: ask. Ask the person beforehand. Are you okay? Do you want us to keep good distance between us? 2 meters, is that okay? I know that might seem a bit, I don't know what, but folks, please, don't expect other people to be mind readers. Honestly, from this counselor's point of view, folks, it causes so many problems. Ask. Ask the person. So you meet and you don't know, should you hug, should you not? Ask. How do you feel about having a hug? No problem at all. If you don't want to hug, that's fine with me. How do you feel about that? They might say, I'm still a bit comfortable about that. You're like, no problem at all. And you look at people's body language. You can tell, sometimes body language. But folks, my top tip for this talk is to ask. Ask, how does this feel for you? How do you want to do this? Just ask open questions, folks, and decide together what feels right for the both of you. Yeah, Sharon says, yes, Sheila, this has been an opportunity to reconnect with family and friends on a deeper level again. And I don't think I can go from 2 meters apart to physical contact. Absolutely, Sharon. Think about it. We've been so used to having that 2 meter apart, for some people, that to then from 2 meters to full on hug. I love that. How can you have a cautious hug? Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm still making sense of the news today, to be honest, folks. How does that work? And I think it depends on your situation because everybody's different. Like, I only had my vaccine last Sunday, folks. That's my first vaccine. So I don't even have immunity yet. It's going to take a couple of weeks. And then I've got another one of 11 weeks for my second vaccination. So, again, we can't assume that everybody's been vaccinated and there's been that period of time that we're okay. Do you know what I mean, folks? So it is so important to do what feels right for you, folks. And I have noticed that whereas other people can forget, they can think, "Oh no, we're okay. I'm vaccinated. You're all right." But you're thinking, "Yeah, but I'm not." So sometimes you do have to use your voice, or sometimes it may mean not turning up for a situation. If you don't want to have those conversations, folks. Like, everybody's different, so you really have to do what feels right for you. And I know I've had clients ask me about coming back face to face, and to be honest, folks, I'm still in two minds about that. Because like I said, I've only had the vaccine last week. So, and yes, whenever, I mean, it's fantastic. The cases are down, the amount of deaths are so low. I mean, it's horrible. People that have passed away during this time, of course, it is, folks. But we can see that there's light, hopefully at the end of this tunnel. And, things can't ever be the same, folks. The things can't go back to how they were before because we can't just erase what's happened, folks. Do you know what I mean? But we can learn from it. And it was like Linda made a comment about that. We need to learn from life before COVID. Like, we don't want packed our waiting rooms, and that we need to learn from this. It has put a pause button in our society. And it is important to learn, folks. Okay. So I'm just looking at Pat. I want to hear the rest of Sharon Rose's story. See previous message. Okay. I agree, Sheila. I think that we're not really respecting the under 40s who haven't had the vaccine. And I think that all adults over 18 or 16 at least before a complete let go of the restrictions. Sorry, Sharon, I'd have to read that again. Yeah, but it is about respecting that everybody's different, and please don't be afraid to use your voice, folks, to say what feels right for you. So that's the thing, ask, ask, ask. And of course, folks, from a counselor's point of view, I'm going to really encourage you to offload the different emotions, the frustration, the fact that, we're still going through this. It may take more time. We mightn't get to travel on holidays this year. It mightn't feel right for you. And that can build up a lot of frustration, folks. And if it does, get yourself an anger cushion and punch the living daylights out of it. So that could be part of your sofa or a punch bag or whatever you need to do. Or it could be using things like my therapeutic guided meditation. Okay, folks. I mean, we're coming towards the end here. If there's any questions, again, feel free to put them in. But I hope I've covered some. So I hope that you find it useful, folks. The ask to go at your own pace. Decide what approach feels right for you. Please don't make comparisons, folks, because we're all different, and we're all going to experience this differently. Folks, there's plenty more resources on my website, and I also have an announcement to make. And you're the first to know this, folks, as I have provisionally booked my next mental health theatre show back in the theatres. I can't wait to see you all, folks. So save the date. It is Saturday, the 9th of October. It's the day before World Mental Health Day. And that is when I'm planning my next live mental health theatre show at the Litchfield Garrick Theatre, folks. I can't wait. I can't wait. Joe's like, woohoo! Fantastic stuff. And you know what, Pat? Whether you'll be there giving the hugs or not, that's entirely up to you. That might feel okay for you by then. It might not. We may need to find a way to ask people if they want to line up for hugs or not. It depends where they're at, folks, Before back to normal, completely there is an assumption all youngsters are going to have a mild COVID. Yeah, absolutely. Cheers, yeah, proceed with caution. And I think as well as that, folks, I think being alive brings a risk. I think, just being alive means that we are going to have risks. We can get run down by a car. Holly cat could decide to attack me and kill me for not feeding her because she's due to be fed. I suppose we all run risks by being alive, but something, we don't have to live our lives in fear, folks. We can acknowledge it, but we can also decide that, what, part of being alive is there will be certain anxieties, there will be fears, but it's a bit like Susan Jefferson's feel the fear and do it anyway, folks. So I would really advise you, don't fight anxiety, fighting depression, work with it, folks, work with it. Look, if I can help in any way, please get in contact. If you haven't subscribed, please do already, folks. Be part of this mental wealth community because that's what it's all about. It's all about helping ourselves and each other. So, folks, if you're watching this back in recording, thank you for your time. And I love the idea of helping each other, that coming, mental health from a preventative point of view, folks. Like I said, lots of resources on my website, on my YouTube channel. And remember, the 9th of October, OMG, OMG. Hopefully, I'll be seeing you all live. Thank you very much for your lovely comments, folks. Thank you for your time. Look, it's Monday. It's Mental Health Awareness Week. Let's be our own best friend. Lots of love to you, folks. Mwah. Thank you so much for joining me, folks. We're going to leave it at that. And I can't wait to see you in person. And I'll ask you if you want to hug or not. Okay, cheers, folks. Bye.